and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Thursday, the 28th of February, last day of the month of February 2019. And tonight's topic is gold, here, there, and everywhere. We're going to talk about the near ubiquity of gold on the planet. But first, let's take a look at the gold prices, the equity prices, and the crypto prices, and a couple of news stories before we get into tonight's topic. All right, let's take a look now at our prices. So the equity markets today were relatively flat again, not much movement, not much to react to. Dow Jones down 69 points, now under 26,000 to 25,916. Percentage change was just down 0.25% today, though. The NASDAQ was down about 0.25% as well, down 22 points, down to 75.32. And this S&P 500 was also down about 0.25%. So not much movement, and that was down about 8 points to 27.84. Now the gold market and the silver markets, they were down as well. Gold now creeping back towards 1,300, down $6.47, or down about 0.5%. So the gold was down at a greater percentage than the equity markets, and currently the gold price is at 13.12, so it's down a little bit from the close in the after hours. Silver, well, the silver price was also down, and as usual, gold went down, but silver went down even more. Silver down 1.21% today. That was down 19 cents. Doesn't take much for it to go down over a percent. Remember, at $15, a 15-cent drop is a 1% decline. And it closed at $15.56. Current price, $15.57. And our gold-silver ratio, we're moving back up again as a result of the less decline in gold and the higher decline in silver. And the gold-silver ratio crept up to 84.32 to 1. Now, platinum did manage to eke out a gain, up about $1 to $870. It's moving up. Palladium fell off a bit today, but still at 15. No, actually it went up today. It was down a little bit in after hours. Still at 15.21, outpacing gold and platinum. Very rare, because palladium is usually less expensive than platinum, and platinum is usually more expensive than gold. So all that's been flipped on its head. All right, what else happened in the gold and silver market? A couple of interesting stories. Let's first take a look. We haven't looked at the amount of gold or silver in the COMEX vaults. It's Brinks that's really surprising. The Brinks vaults have, now what you're seeing here, 54.6 million ounces of silver. That's up from about 20 million ounces of silver less than 2 years ago, or less than 3 years ago in 2016. And this silver is the silver that's in the 9995 1,000 ounce good delivery bars. A healthy amount of it, about 14 million or 13 million, are eligible to be converted into a sale, but 41.8 million are actually good to go. It's eligible and registered to sell. So there is no shortage of silver in the Brinks depository vaults, in that 1,000 ounce good delivery bars that are available for people to take delivery on. The story over at the JP Morgan vault is a little different, because there's a large amount of silver in the JP Morgan vault, though they've shed about 7 or 8 million since the peak when they were about 153 million. But most of their silver that's in that vault is in the eligible form, in that 1,000 ounce bar 9995 silver, but a lot of it's not registered. Only 5.1 million ounces are registered. But if you take a look at the total silver that's in all of the COMEX vaults combined, you see a very healthy 297 million ounces, or nearly 300 million ounces of silver in these COMEX vaults, and that's silver just in the 999 fine 1,000 ounce bar. So it's not all the silver. It doesn't count monster boxes or other silver that may be held by fiduciaries in these COMEX approved vaults. They can operate as a COMEX approved vault, but they can also, like Brinks has, you can store other valuables at Brinks other than COMEX eligible silver. Monster boxes are not eligible to trade on COMEX, nor 10 ounce bars, 1 ounce silver eagles, tubes of eagles, whatever you have. But you can store them at the Brinks vaults. But you can see there's 208 million eligible of these bars, million ounces of these bars, and about 89, 90 million of them are registered and good to go. So there's no real threat that if people want to take delivery on silver at the end of their contracts, they can easily do so, at least according to what they claim they have there. All right, other stories in gold and silver today. Well, in gold, looks like central banks, one of the reasons gold is a good asset. Well, let's take a look at our friend Maduro. Looks like he's going to pull another 8 tons of gold from his central bank and try to sell it. You know, who knows who gets the proceeds to that, whether it's Senor Maduro himself or whether that goes back into trying to keep Venezuela afloat and pay off its foreign creditors. Who knows? But clearly, I don't know whether that picture is a real picture. I think it might be. It looks like he's holding those bars there. There's not 8. There's 1, 2, 3. But that's not tons. Those are just bars. All right. Also, interesting news. A while back, Germany kicked off a repatriation of gold craze for a while, where they asked for their gold back from the United States and from the Bank of England and the Bank of France. They have since repatriated the amounts of gold they wanted to repatriate, so now they have more than half of the German Bundesbank gold within the confines of the German borders. And we saw the Netherlands also pull off a repatriation. Belgium requested. Venezuela had requested a while back as well. And recently they requested some of that gold they had in England, and England told them no. But recently Romania now has put forth laws to repatriate their central bank gold reserves. Now, they don't have that much gold. Let me just see what the article says here in C News. Looks like they have 103 tons. That's worth about less than $4 billion. And 61 of those tons are held at the Bank of England. Now, maybe, I don't know what's prompted this move. A couple of years ago, they said they weren't going to do this. So who knows why they're doing it and whether they'll actually be able to execute on this plan. But we have seen other countries do it, and it looks like Romania is doing it. So ties in now that central banks are looking to at least diversify some of their reserve assets into gold. And if they're not looking to add gold, they at least want to add gold back to where their country is and store it there. Now, a lot of these countries did shift the gold out of their countries as a result of being concerned either that Nazi Germany was going to roll them over and steal their gold, or the Soviet Union was going to do so. So the places where people like to send, or central banks like to send, have sent their gold were the United Kingdom, and more importantly, or better for safety, back to the United States. And that gold was held, and still some of it is held, at the New York Fed in the basement there, which supposedly is next to JP Morgan's gold vault as well. All right, I think that's it on the gold and silver. Let's move over to the cryptos. Some interesting stories again today, but let's take a look at the prices. Not very interesting, though, on the prices today. Currently, it looks like, yeah, Bitcoin is flat at $37.98. Past 24 hours, it's flat. Ethereum is pretty much flat, up less than 0.5% to 135. Litecoin up a bit more, up about 1.5% to 45.60, and Bcash is down about 0.75% to 129.40. Interesting stories, though, in crypto. Square, if anyone knows what Square is, Square has an application called Cash, and it is owned or run by Jack Dorsey, who also runs Twitter. And apparently, Square bought in 166 million through Bitcoin. Now, that's not a small piece of change. It's not bad. It's interesting because they brought in, they say, 166,517,000, and it cost them about 165 million to purchase that Bitcoin that they on-sold to customers. So they made a profit of about 1.69 million. Not a lot, but it did pick up in the second half of the year. In the second half of the year, they sold nearly 100 million worth of Bitcoin. So the bulk of the sales of Bitcoin occurred in the second half of the year. So 95 million in the second half compared to 71 million in the first half. So 95 in the second half, 71 in the first half. And they make money doing it. And that's in their Cash app. And they just started doing that back in November 2017. So 2018 was the first year that Square had a full year of Bitcoin sales. Now, the company itself made 3.3 billion in revenue, and 166 million of it was in Bitcoin. They don't sell other cryptocurrencies, just Bitcoin. So 5% of their system revenues are in Bitcoin. Now, that ties into my theory. Not that Bitcoin is going to take over the world, or Bitcoin is going to be the dominant player in transactions or the dominant payment of choice, but that these payment processors and payment systems and banks and other financial institutions will integrate, just as Square has done, Bitcoin into their ecosystems, whether they are payment processors, peer-to-peer payment systems, trading platforms, ETFs, that I believe that Bitcoin will be part of. It already is. I mean, it's not even a projection. It's just of how much of a percentage of their revenues become dependent on selling Bitcoin-related products, whether they are just selling Bitcoin outright, selling derivatives, selling futures contracts, getting money, revenues off of storing Bitcoin, delivering futures, converting it for purposes of using it in e-commerce. The point being is it is growing, and it is already part of, not a large part, but it is part of the payment systems. And I've never projected that it would one day be the only, there are people who project that it's taken over the world. There's other people saying it's going to zero. I think it's somewhere in between. I don't think it's certainly not going to zero. It has already proven that it is worthy of use because people do use it. A lot of people say no one uses it. That's not true. No one buys it. That's not true either. It is being used. It's just not being used in the massive uptake, but it is at the current moment a bit of a niche product. And as we see with these ATMs, by the way, I saw a funny thing the other day. There was a commercial, and we might have discussed this the other night. I might have gone over quickly. I think it was the Colorado Lottery was trying to make it sound like buying a lottery ticket was better than buying Bitcoin. And I'm not quite sure about that. But I had asked the question a couple of shows back or a few weeks ago that if you had a chance, you had some extra cash, would you put it in one of the scratch lottery ticket machines, or will you stick it into an ATM, a Bitcoin ATM, a Litecoin ATM, and get cryptocurrencies? And most people said, might as well take the cryptocurrency. You got a less chance of it going to zero within the minute that you buy it. It might go up, it might go down, but at least you're not going to lose everything. And if it goes up, you might even make more money than a scratch-off lottery ticket. I think you might win $5,000 on a lottery ticket or less, who knows. But again, it's just, I've been following this, the fact that Square brought in 166 million through Bitcoin sales last year, 5% of its revenue, that's already a line item, which means, and it grew from November 2017. Now it's possible that the brakes could be slammed on to this whole thing, but the growth rates are impressive. They're from small numbers, but that's how anything starts. And we'll see where it goes. But a lot of people are behind on even paying attention to this because this is all I need to know. No one is using Bitcoin and it is going to zero. And they've heard that. They repeat that. They saw the price go down. And that is all they need to know. And they stopped paying attention to it. As I mentioned, I thought this way back in 2013 after the price fell. But then I saw since 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 now, the continued interest, the continued investment in cryptocurrencies, crypto-related projects, and it has grown irrespective of whether the price has gone up or down. Another example of that is this Litecoin Foundation is pushing these partnerships with kickboxing organizations like Glory or the UFC, and now they're promoting K-pop, and you can use Litecoin to buy tickets and so on. So again, it's part of the adoption. It's not huge, but again, it's still, you would never expected this 5-7 years ago. WireX is another one. It's a bank, and they allow its customers the free exchange of cryptocurrencies into banking products, and then you can get on the SWIFT system. You can transfer cash, and again, part of integrating crypto assets into the banking system. Who knew bank transfers could be so cool for crypto? It's actually not the point of crypto. The people or the Satoshis or the whoever who first touted Bitcoin would have nothing to do with banks. It was going to kill the central banks. Be your own central bank. Well, a lot of people are seeing the convenience, even if they are crypto heads, that at some point maybe they might need to have regular fiat currency to buy stuff. And if you bank at a bank that allows you to move your cryptos in and out, and if you have to send a wire transfer and you don't want to send crypto or the person doesn't want to accept it. And this is exactly what I saw happening, and it is happening. It's not one or the other. It's not a binary, cryptos versus fiat currencies. I think the money centers that exist today, they realize that they have to adapt, and incorporating the cryptocurrencies is probably the smartest thing. And here's an example now between Max Kaiser is one who just believes, he was on TV or some YouTube the other day and he burned $1,000. Worthless fiat. Okay. I mean, it's a publicity stunt. But we saw this story, and you can see where Max Kaiser reacts to it. Russian President Putin orders government to adopt crypto regulations, I think by May or June or July, whatever it is, from Cointelegraph. Okay. Yes, we've seen a lot of countries want to have a regulatory structure in place. They're not looking to necessarily outright ban cryptocurrencies. I mean, again, they want to track, trace, tax cryptocurrencies. It's a losing battle trying to ban it. And if it's not a threat because it's all part and parcel and integrated into your systems, why not have that extra value? Because it doesn't cost you anything. The value of cryptos goes up and it's in your system. Well, then all the innovation and the ICOs and the fees that are charged in trading and redeeming and storing, they all inure to the benefit of the home country. So why would you want to shut that down? But Max Kaiser, his view on this is, what does this mean? Well, this is game over and game changer. It means what he's hearing, and the voices in his head, sources close to the Kremlin. This paves the way for the Central Bank of Russia to start adding Bitcoin to the reserves later this year. I don't think the Central Bank of Russia would need these regulations to be in place. If they wanted to buy Bitcoin, they could buy Bitcoin. The other thing you have to keep in mind is, even if they wanted to buy Bitcoin, I'm not saying they will or they won't. I mean, they could. It's the same thing. Just because Russia buys gold, it really has had no impact on the price. So if Russia wanted to buy, I don't know, whatever they wanted to buy, however much of it they want to buy, they're not going to buy $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. The amounts that they're going to buy are clearly not going to move the market. Now, the difference is you do get the whole central banks are buying gold. Well, you'll get the central banks are buying crypto. That is all I need to know. And that in itself could drive the price higher, because that would be a big deal, because it wouldn't be because the Russian central bank was buying so much Bitcoin that was driving the price higher. It would be under the anticipation that, oh, well, if Russia buys it, maybe other central banks will buy it. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but that probably would be a catalyst to move the prices higher, not because they would be a significant buyer, just the fact that they would view, or any central bank would view, Bitcoin as a reserve asset. That would be probably a big deal. I'm not sure it would make dollars worthless, and I wouldn't go on TV and burn 1,000, but there you have it. All right, now, yeah, I think that's it then for the updates. There was, there's a couple other stories, I think. Yes. One is on Canada. I didn't know this was going on, but apparently Trudeau is not in good shape there. There's a scandal going on there, and the story revolves around his attorney general. He wanted some rules changed. There was some type of deal he wanted done. She wouldn't approve it. He demoted her, and then he said, she supports me. And then the other day she came out and she had this long statement saying that none of this has been approved, that this is all like kickbacks and bribes. And so Trudeau came out and gave a statement basically saying, I'm not a crook. Let me make this perfectly clear. A type of speech. And there's talk about him resigning. I haven't followed. I only saw this today, but it is important to note, to put a bookmark here, that there could be some issues with Trudeau. There was also issues with Benjamin Netanyahu along the same lines. Some type of, he received, I don't know how you get $100 million or $100, whatever it was. It was a huge amount of like cigars and champagne. I forgot the number. It wasn't 100 million, but it was a number. It was 100 something. It wasn't $100. Maybe it was $100,000 worth of cigars and champagne. That's a lot of cigars and champagne. And apparently he's under political pressure there too. So we'll see. And Macron in France is under pressure. Merkel. It's funny. Trump has probably got the highest approval rating of all of them, and he's also under attack as well. And then finally, speaking of Trump, he went to Korea to speak to, quote, Little Rocket Man. He wanted complete denuclearization. Kim said, no, we'll denuclearize this one, but not the others. And Trump said, okay, I'm going home. And that was the end of it. And so we'll see what happens. I think he also said that Kim agreed no more testing, but he's not going to shut down the things. And the sticking point was Trump wanted all of them shut down, and otherwise he was going to keep the sanctions in place. And the sanctions still are in place. And I think Kim might have been overplaying his hand, thinking that, well, Trump probably wants to come back to the United States with a deal to overshadow this Cohen thing. But I don't think Trump really cared about that, and that'll blow over pretty quickly probably. So this just gives him another chance to strike another deal. I don't think there was any harm done. And it seems that is the consensus amongst Democrats and Republicans, is no point in doing a deal if you don't get the type of deal. I mean, the U.S. is in the driver's seat, because if they wanted to, I mean, the United States could keep the sanctions on and could bomb the country if that's really what they wanted to do. And I'm not sure that is what they want to do. I think what they really want to do is they want to create another South Korea, another Vietnam, where they can bring the peninsula together. And it would make sense for the U.S. geopolitically to have a unified powerhouse North and South Korean economy to offset China if they were allies. So I think that's what's going on there. I think maybe the United States might eventually have to agree to provide some type of mutual defense, not necessarily keep troops there. But I think there's a lot more that needs to be worked out other than just the denuclearization of the peninsula. Because if you're looking at it from Kim's perspective, he doesn't have anything. He has no economy. The only thing he has is his iron grip on the country and the nukes, because they have a horrible economy. So he needs some type of assurances. And I think eventually they will get there, because you have to think, if you're Kim, he's a young guy. What does he want to do? Just hunker down for the next 40 years of his life? Not so sure. Okay, let's now move on to, I will pick up your thoughts on that in the comments. the topic of tonight's episode: gold here, there, and everywhere. Now, we've talked about platinum and palladium, and platinum and palladium are really not found in many places. In fact, they didn't discover platinum until like the 18th century. They found it in the late 1700s. It was in Russia. They found some platinum in South Africa. We now found platinum in the U.S. and Canada, but it's not everywhere, and it's not in large amounts. So platinum is rare. Cobalt is another interesting one. Cobalt mostly is found just in the Central African nation of the Congo. So you don't have platinum. Palladium is not in many places either. You just don't see it. And gold, however, is in many places. We have seen gold. Well, let's take a look at the gold mining. Now remember, you guys just think this one through. We've had gold in South Africa. South Africa was the largest gold producing nation for the longest time. Not anymore, but there was gold in South Africa. Russia right now is currently the third largest gold producing nation. Has been for a while. Even when South Africa was up there in the 60s and 70s or in the Soviet Union, Russia was a big gold producer. China is the #1 gold producer. So now we've gone through Africa, we've gone to Europe, we've gone to Asia. We know that there's a lot of gold production in Australia. Over in the United States, we have a decent amount of gold production, 240, 250 tons a year. Canada is a relatively large gold producing nation. So in the U.S., you've got the whole California area is replete with gold. You've got Alaskan gold, Yukon. Canada's got gold. South Africa, as we mentioned. And then there's gold in the, quote, New World, like Peru. There's gold in Mexico. There's gold in Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Brazil's got gold. Just trying to think of other countries. Ghana has gold. So you got gold mines. Turkey has gold mines. There are gold mines pretty much on every continent. There's probably gold in Antarctica. I don't know that, but there appears to be gold everywhere on Earth. Now, you know that expression, there's water at the bottom of the ocean. Well, they've found now that there is probably gold at the bottom of the ocean floor. Why not? But who's going to drill that right now? But there's also gold in the ocean. There's certain parts per million of gold. That's just as a natural function or in the ocean. There's gold in your body in trace amounts. And not because you may have been exposed to gold. There actually are small amounts of gold. I think it's 2.02 milligrams. They say it's near the heart. They're not quite sure why it's there, but there is even gold in your body, which is very interesting. There's gold in electronic waste. That's we mentioned the other night. It's in computers, smartphones. It's in space helmets. It's in, and it gets thrown away, but it can be pulled out. There's gold in sewage. We've seen stories that there's billions of dollars worth of gold and precious metals, they say, that are flushed away every year. And that's a result of, that is exposure to trace amounts of gold that are used in shampoo and food and detergents, and it just leaches into the sewage systems. And then, of course, wearing a gold ring or jewelry or taking a shower with it, it all ends up, into the sewage system. There's also gold in outer space. Forget in the Earth's crust, there's gold out there in the asteroids. Now, again, it's expensive to go and get it, but that's what Elon Musk wants to do. Wants to do asteroid mining. They think there may be gold on Mars, and that would make sense if it ended up on Earth through the collisions of stars or whatever. Well, you can imagine that the Earth may be the only place that has life on it, but there may be gold on other planets as well. You've got gold in shipwrecks off the coasts, gold that's been lost. You have archaeological sites that have gold, gold at the bottom of the sea from shipwrecks, gold in the sea from it's in the water. They say there's about 20 tons of gold in the ocean. That's not a lot, because the ocean's a pretty vast place, but still, you're not going to be able to, I think it's each liter of seawater contains about 13 billionths of a gram of gold. There's gold in the ocean sands. There's pretty much gold everywhere in small amounts, not necessarily in big amounts, and there's gold in outer space, and so it's not plentiful, but it is somewhat ubiquitous because you can pretty much throughout the United States. I know in the Northeast they have remnants of gold mines. Ireland has some gold mines. Gold is scattered, I wouldn't say evenly across the earth, but there's not an area of earth that I can think of, a continent that doesn't have some significant gold mines. And as we know, we probably haven't tapped into what's under the ocean floor. And that's probably not going to happen unless gold gets really expensive or really necessary to have. And we know that there's gold out there in the asteroids as well. So there's plenty of places to find gold, but really the reason they talk about a gold mine is that's if you can find a concentrated place where gold is. Well, that's where you live in large, because that's when you can get significant amounts of gold all in one place. If you're trying to scrap it out of electronic waste or out of sewerage or out of the ocean water, and that's almost not even worth doing out of the ocean water. It gets fairly expensive. You're trying to mine asteroids. That's not really the best way to do it. But there are people who are always thinking ahead that we might. There's platinum supposedly out there in the asteroids as well. All right. Anyway, if you want to add gold to your own stack, that's easy to do. You don't have to go sifting through sewage or electronics. You can do so at the links below this BitShooter YouTube. Generally from SD Bullion, and Smaulgld makes a Smaulgld commission. There you go, a small commission on each sale. It's not based on how much you buy; just each sale gets me a small amount, which is nice. And it's not an investment advice to buy gold or silver. But if you're going to buy it, you pay no more, no less than if you visit those sites through the Smaulgld links. And remember, I don't have the ads on here, so I don't even have to worry about being demonetized. And I pump mugs, right? So if you want to help the site out, you can always buy a Smaulgld mug. You can donate via Bitcoin, Litecoin. You can see it on the screen there. Just visit Smaulgld.com, and you've got all your options there to either buy your gold and silver through the affiliate links or other products that we have for sale there. Your mugs, become a Smaulgld patron, donate one time via PayPal, or again via Bitcoin and Litecoin. All right, Smaulgld mug stackers and game changers. Let's see what you guys are saying over in the comments section. All right, boating accident. Let's see what we have. Prashanti girl is here tonight. All right, and everyone's here. Pablo, normal crowd. Pablo asked Lewis, I missed the Cohen second testimony today. Anything new? I missed it too, and I think it was because it's behind closed doors. So I'm not sure how much of that will be made public. I would think that he would have saved his best for the public, because essentially, from a legal perspective, his testimony it's already been given, and it's already been taken by the special counsel. And if there's anything going on with the Southern District of New York, anything he says now that he is a convicted felon and admitted, when you admit not just to a felony, but to one involving your veracity, your usefulness as a witness in any type of providing any type of evidence is pretty much shot. So I don't even know why they bothered to do this, why Cohen bothered to do this. I'm not sure what the Democrat Congress gets, because remember, Congress doesn't have any they can't arrest anybody. They can't can make criminal referrals. That's about it. But he's already got his. Who are they going to refer criminally? I mean, they already have a special counsel working on this. So I think this was for show, and it didn't help Cohen because Cohen's already going to jail. I'm not sure how this helped him. And apparently, the Republicans are saying he lied 4 or 5 times during his new testimony. So I don't know what the purpose of this thing was. I mean, other than just public spectacle. But public spectacles don't last long unless there's lasting consequences from them. You know, getting a guy up there to say Trump's a bad guy for an hour in an opening statement and then get cross-examined and then lie about stuff is probably not the best. I don't know who that benefits. It certainly doesn't benefit Cohen. I don't think it benefits the Democrats because they can't do anything with the information. All right. But so no, I don't know what happened in there, and there'll be leaks if he said anything of interest, I'm sure. You guys are talking about the weather and Bitcoin. Chris Gardner, he seems like a new one here. Crypto investing is a digital version of day trading. Yeah, well, that's true. Well, it depends. There are people that are hodlers. They don't trade at all, so it's not really the same. And there are people who trade digital assets. And the reason it's interesting, it's because they trade 24/7. All right. What else? Fiona's here. Bitcoin price chart is in front of money.cnn along with natural gas, Dow, S&P 500. I don't know why your message is held for review. Oh, you know why? Unbelievable. I mean, this is how sensitive the YouTube algorithm is. She has the word loser in there. I guess loser is a bad word. The fact that I've said it 3 times now is probably going to have this, the algorithm's not going to recommend that my video be shown because it might offend someone because they have the offensive word in there, loser. It's the same if you say, well, it looks like the price has been retarded as a result of, well, retarded is also, and I'm really getting myself in trouble there. They don't care what context you use the word in. Loser and retarded, those are offensive words. They could even be deemed to be hate speech, but Fiona is not hating on anyone. She's saying the Bitcoin price chart is in front of money.cnn.com along with oil, natural gas, Dow, S&P 500, NASDAQ, biggest losers and gainers. That's all Bitcoin critics need to know. There you go. Regulation and taxation. Yeah, I saw on Twitter a call for resignation. Yeah, for Trudeau, yes. Pablo. Lewis, after this narrative of gold, Bitcoin will go to 10,000 after this live stream. Yes. I move markets. Mint Mark. Lewis, I think I speak for all of us game changers. We would like to hear 20 reasons to stack and hoard mugs with the Irish accent on St. Paddy's Day. Well, you'll be looking for Seamus, are you? Well, do the whole show with Seamus. He'll be talking to you about all the reasons you should be buying mugs. He'll give you 20 of them. Gosh, he'll give you more than 20 of them. You put him on the line, put a few pints in front of him, and he'll be telling you all the reasons. 6 ways to sundown. Yep, Seamus. India and Pakistan we talked about last night, Pablo. Don't know if there's anything new there other than it's not good if the 2 of them are battling out. Both of them are nuclear powers. All right. Well, what about Bernie? Anyone here from Bernie? The 1% are eating all the food. Got to watch out for that. Crypto Shrug, the author is here, but apologies. He's saying good evening, and I am saying good night. You joined us a bit late tonight. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Join us at this time each and every evening, 7 days a week, most of the time. And we go through the markets, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, and economics. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good evening. And thanks for the show.